everybody. Welcome to another Wise Talk workshop with Danielle Matthew. You are going to be so happy you tuned into this one because this is our actual second segment. Our first one was all about redefining bullying. What does bullying look like? What does it mean to be bullied? And what do we do with it? This segment is all about what do we do? And we're going to give you some really tangible things to walk away from this interview with so that you can use with your own children and even for yourself, for coworkers. I mean, this stuff, it's not just for children. It actually works across the board. So I often think that a lot of times our children are just helping us really figure out life in their own way. So thank you so much for being here, Danielle. I am so glad you are here with us. If you could give everybody just a quick snippet of who you are, your program, the Empowerment Space, what it's about, and just fill everybody in. We'll get everybody up to speed in case they didn't see the last segment.
Yes, hi, I'm Danielle Matthew, and I am a licensed marriage family therapist, and I've been in the business for over 20 years. I've worked with children and families, and a couple of years ago, I did a needs assessment in our community to see how many programs are really out there for kids who are at a real crisis point of bullying. Maybe they're not suicidal at this point, but they're very depressed. And I found that there wasn't a lot in our community to heal kids from bullying. So I wrote the Empowerment Space, which is a 10-week program with 3 follow-up sessions, 1, 2, and 3 months after. And it's really teaching kids how to use self-esteem and coping skills every week to empower them to handle bullying and heal themselves, and the support of the school in collaboration and with parents to really help them with how to talk to their kids about bullying. And so that is the Empowerment Space.
And I love the Empowerment Space, and I'll tell you just how we met was through Zen Parenting Radio, which we both adore and love, and Todd and Kathy are amazing human beings on this planet, spreading lots of light and love. So if you are interested in a parenting podcast, and really, again, I say parenting, but it goes across the board for us as human beings, self-awareness, mindfulness, all of those things, check out Zen Parenting Radio because they are amazing. So I'm really grateful that we are coming together in this world. All of us are kind of coming together to be a force of light and love on this planet to help support our children and to support ourselves in that space as well. So super excitement for this segment. So I want to dive right in and talk about the 3 E's. It's something that you have developed, and it's part of your program, but I think it's so powerful, this 3 E's. And I think that everybody can walk away with some really powerful, juicy nuggets to use in their own life right here, right now. So can you start with what are the 3 E's, and let's just dive into the first one.
Sure. It's called the 3 E's of empathy, empowerment, and engagement. And the first one is empathy. It's really important when our kids have been bullied. We are sometimes, as the parents, I think, the last ones to know, and we're really upset when we find this out. I can't imagine how scary it must be, especially if it's coming to you, this information, when your child is really depressed. So it's really important that you are empathic, and we know what empathy means. And that's when you're in a safe place yourself as a parent, where you're not overly stimulated, agitated, frustrated, and you're able to come to your child in an open space to ask them and say, I'm wondering if you're feeling scared. I'm wondering if you're feeling hurt that this happened to you. But you want to do it as an open-ended question. You can put a feeling to it, but you want them to be able to come back to you and have the space and not feel like you're going to criticize them and what they're saying, and you're going to be really open to hearing the full story. And you really want to hear what they have to say about, I'm feeling this way, I'm feeling scared. And then you as the parent want to be open to what their reaction is going to be. Even if inside you're dying and you're like, this is terrible, you really want to make sure that, right? Exactly. That
you're dying.
Yes, it's hard, and you're probably as a parent cringing inside, but you're allowing the open communication to begin between you and your child who's already been pushed down and traumatically bullied. And now you're allowing everybody to be helpful and supportive, and you have to be in a supportive place as a parent, and they have to feel that from you so that they can be open to telling you how they're feeling. And that's the first E, is empathy.
You know, this is one of my favorite things that you talk about, and we've talked about it on podcasts before, and of course you've talked about it. is the one sentence that people can walk away with right here, right now. And this is not just for bullying for our children. This is for us to communicate on in a heart space together, right? Like with your husband or your coworker, your friend.
Yes.
Is I'm wondering if, because nothing feels worse than when a friend comes in and says to me, "Why are you so mad all the time? What's wrong with you? What now? What now? What's the problem?" Nothing feels worse than that. And I just want to like freak out on them. And so for our children, they're in the same exact space of, why are you kind of attacking me? And it automatically brings us up in this defense mode of like fight or flight, right? Like,
yes, that's right. And that's a really good point, Heather, because we talk about that in one of our weeks in our program is the fight, flight, freeze response. How is our body feeling and reacting to bullying? And I think kids can pick up on body language of parents as well. And I think parents really have to be open. And when they do approach their kids and have this dialogue as the empathy piece, they have to be in a place where they can really hear what scary stuff may end up coming out, but at least it opens up that dialogue in a very honest and authentic way.
And compassionate, to your point, empathy, compassion, because when we say, "What's wrong with you? What's the matter? What's the matter now?"
Right.
Versus, "I'm wondering if you're scared," or "I'm wondering if you're sad." Like the whole shift of energy in our body changes from to "I'm wondering," like, and really from a compassionate space of, I want to love you and support you and help you. And to your point, the body language speaks, and we talk about that in our book too, that, words are 7% of communicated language, and body language, I can't even remember, I can't even quote my own book, but somewhere in there. That was my co-author's part, Tara. She knows all that stuff. I told the story, she told the facts. So, but yeah, it's that point of that. It's our body language of how we approach the situation. And when we come in frustrated or angry from a day, and we're like, "Oh God, just one more thing I've got to deal with," that energy translates to our children of, "I'm not important. I'm a nuisance. I'm a burden. I'm a pain. This doesn't matter." Like all that kind of stuff, which is certainly not any of our intention. Let's just get that clear across the board.
Right.
Our intention, unless you're some crazy sociopath, like off the Richter scale, I get it. But generally, parents that love their children, their intention is, of course, to support them. I think that we just get into this space of frustration and, life, like, gotta go, gotta do, gotta be. And it's just difficult to work with right now because we've got to get to soccer.
Right. That's right. You're in the moment with what's going on, and it's hard to kind of think about, okay, how can I be in the moment with my feelings and hold on to my feelings and allow my child not to have to take care of me, or me tell my child how they're feeling, because kids don't like to be told how they're feeling, especially teenagers, and they get more angry. So by having a question and posing it in a way, and the parent being able to do it in a good space, really helps make that dialogue go so much smoother.
I couldn't agree more. And I really, as an adult, I don't like being told how I'm feeling either. So I'm with the teenagers. I'm like, don't tell me how I feel. I will tell you how I feel.
Absolutely. That's true. Absolutely.
So I agree with that. So the big takeaway with empathy is to really check into our own energy, our own space first and foremost. Are we in a loving space? Are we connected heart to heart, not distracted by where we've got to go, what we've got to do,
right, in the moment,
crummy day we've had at work or whatever. And then I'm wondering if you're sad. I'm wondering if you're scared. I'm wondering if there's a problem that I don't know about. And that opens up the door for that really loving, empathetic, compassionate space to communicate. So yay for empathy. So number 2, E.
Number 2 is empowerment. So empowering your kids to come up with an action plan of how they want to handle the problem. And the first thing, probably as an adolescent or even as a kid, they're going to tell you that they don't need your help. Don't worry about it. They'll take care of it. And of course, you're going to say as the parent, I will allow you to come up with the plan, but follow through is still going to happen on their end. So you can give them the space to figure out the plan, to tell you the plan, and then you're going to follow up within a couple days to see how that's going. You may want to involve the school, a teacher that your child feels really good about. Maybe they can check in also at school if we know the bullying is also happening there, just to make sure that the plan seems to be working across the board. Or if it needs to be fine-tuned, that's the opportunity as well. So we're still giving our children the power to come up with the action plan, but we're also making sure that we're following up as a parent with how we can support them and make sure that that happens in a successful manner.
I love that, because it's empowering the child, to your point, right? It's empowering the child in that space. And also, I think that, again, positioning of words with our kids is really important in that space, because we obviously do need to be a part of that plan. And I think that for the clarity on my end, when I would say, if I was to say something, I would say something to the point of, I trust you in this, and I know that you're going to handle this. Yeah. And it's really important for me to be a part of this because I love you so much. Yeah. I care about you and you matter to me. And I want to cooperate with each other and make this successful for you and for me. And what I will tell you is it won't work for me to be completely out of the loop, because I'll just worry and I'll be angry and I'll be frustrated and I'll be sad. And it's just not going to work. It's going to make it worse for you.
And that's a loving way that you're coming at it. And I think that's an important piece when you talk about the actual empowering them of an action plan. You do want to do it in the same manner, Heather, that you just talked about. That's very loving, but clear at the same time that you are going to be following up, because this is serious. And obviously they're quite depressed, probably by the time you're learning about this, and you want it to stop. You don't want them to be in mental anguish any longer. So I think your way and your tone and manner is a good example for parents to use.
Yeah. And, you're going to give that for them in the program. You're going to give them those tools to support them in that empowerment conversation, right?
Very good point. We do that in our program where we have a session that's about an hour or and a half or so with the parents, and they have activity books as well, where they're going to be practicing these skills, practicing empathy, practicing empowerment. And we're going to do it in my office with role plays. And we're really going to help parents start to feel comfortable, because it's not comfortable. If you learn empathy, takes time to really learn how to convey a true empathic statement. It's not something that happens overnight. So we really teach that in our program about how to really use these tools, not that they're just names and we tell them what to do. We actually show them and we work with them to help support their kids in this process.
I love that. I love that you give them the space to learn that. And also, again, it travels out to the rest of our lives, right? This is not just I think that any experience we co-create together is a co-creation. It's an experience for you and for me. So I'm learning in this space too. How do I feel empowered? How do I feel empowered even as a parent? Yes. When I feel so disempowered because I can't control the situation.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't make it not happen.
Exactly.
I can't walk with my son all day through school. That's not going to work.
No, exactly. They don't want you to. They want to really feel more empowered, and we're helping push them back up from a depressed place, hopefully into more of an empowered place, that they do have control over themselves and their actions and how they feel, and there's people around them who can support them in that process. And that's really important for kids.
Well, I'll tell you, even for my mom, when I was being bullied forever, the one thing that she did is she came into my room at night and she'd hear me crying or whatever. And generally it was like a weigh-in at school or something ridiculous that I was like, oh dear God, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And I'd make myself sick and to not show up. And then I'd have to have a makeup weigh-in in front of everybody,
Yeah.
So it just made it worse, not better. But my mom would come in and she would say, you know what? They're wrong. They're wrong. And it was just that little word, that sentence that made the difference in my life. And she would say over and over again, you're a miracle. She wasn't supposed to have children. She had cervical cancer and So there was all sorts of reasons why she was never supposed to have children. And lo and behold, and my parents were going to be truck drivers and truck drive the world, the country, you know? So, and then she found out she was pregnant with me, and they said, well, you'll never hold her. And then 2 weeks late, 10 pounds, 4 ounces, I came into this world. My dad's like, a quarterback. And I was like, and he's like, they said, oh, it's a girl. And he saw, oh, oh, 10 pounds, 4 ounces.
You could still be a quarterback. You never know. You could have been.
It's way too brutal of a sport for me. So I was like, that would hurt. Ouch.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, to your point is that, you know, we are really building this space of how do we support our kids in it. And it's even just the smallest little reminders. And I think that falls under empathy and empowerment, that they don't know who you are. You're somebody amazing on this planet, and they have no idea who you are, and they are wrong. And so when I was in the space of being bullied, because we didn't have your program then. So when I was in the space of being bullied, I would literally go in my little world and say, oh, they're wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong, you know, and literally just convince myself that they're wrong and I'm right. My mom's right, because I trusted my mom. Moreover than I trusted these ding-dongs bullying me, you know? Like,
that's right. That's right. You had a relationship with your mom that was,
you know, so, and it could be somebody else. It could be an aunt, an uncle, a friend.
Exactly. Someone that you really feel supported by should be part of the process. I agree, Heather. That's a really good point. If it's not a parent, someone who's very supportive.
Yeah, because, you know, sometimes the parents just, they don't know how to muster it up, right? Like, and I know there's some things I just can't muster up. So, you know, there's in our world, there's our Auntie Taryn or our Uncle Keith that he can confide in things that he just, you know, even my own son, 5 years old, he said to his Auntie Taryn, he said, I don't really like eating. I just don't. And mommy just wants me to eat something. And I just don't want to. He's just not an eater, of course, right? Like, that's the kid I get. Like, he's not an eater at all. And when I say less than 300 calories a day, he's not an eater. Like, and I'm like, eat something. So, you know, he has that space to confide in her, which he doesn't ever tell me, I don't like eating. He just, you know, moans and groans with me. So, so yeah, there's a support system, a net that can help with it too. So, all right, number 3E.
So you've got empathy, empowerment, and now engagement. Let's put that plan into action. Let's engage. Let's figure out how that plan's going to look. Let's test it. Let's maybe do some role plays ourselves. Let's, you know, figure out how you're going to go back and actually put plan into action. And then the action has to happen. And then we have to have follow through after the action. So that's another piece that's important, is the child might say, your adolescent, oh, I'm good now. I'm good. No, we're still going to hold on, and we're going to just check in with you. We just want to make sure that it's really getting better. And I would wait a little bit after the action happens of the engagement. It's really important. I think, again, maybe checking in with that really supportive teacher again, seeing if they're seeing anything. If you're also seeing a change in your child, because maybe now you're seeing that there was some depressive symptoms that were there, and maybe they're less isolative if they had been before. Maybe they're starting to eat a little bit more, get back an appetite, want to engage more, and see a pattern of that happening over time. So really you want to see if that plan works. You can even ask them, check in with them. And again, I would encourage parents to do it open-endedly. Again, no one wants to be micromanaged, right? So it's important, even though there's going to be some oversight by parents, we want to do it as you demonstrated, in a very kind way, but continue to find out, did the action actually work? Is the bullying stopped? Are you feeling better? And there may be continued therapy or a program like the Empowerment Space, depending on how they're feeling, just to continue to review these skills and have someone of support to talk to. That may be another piece of that final engagement.
Yeah, well, and you know, to your point of engagement, right? We have to get in the game, right? We have to get in the arena, and hiding and standing back in the shadows isn't going to solve the problem. And I think that we all go through these things as well for a learning. You know, we've talked about it before, the last podcast we did that I am so grateful for that bullying experience. In the moment, it was tragic. It was hard. And I say in the moment, that was second grade to my high school senior year. Like that was the moment of time for bullying for me. And when it switched, right, from one bully to another, but the bullying still happened. But what it gave me was the opportunity to really believe in myself, to have that relationship with my mom and dad both. And really, I had to have that experience, I believe, so that I could stand on a stage, so that I could do workshops and live broadcasts and things where people are literally saying, you're not enough, you're not good enough. You know, there's so many trolls and people out there that will just do their best to tear you down. Had I not had that experience and really owning myself in that space, who knows if I'd be doing this today. And what I do, what you do, is rippling out into, we've talked about this. It's like, you know, we may affect 1, 2, 100 people in this moment. But what happens is then they affect thousands and millions because of that ripple effect. It's not just one person. And if we can help our teens from detouring from self-hate and self-loathing and self-pain and infliction, whether it's suicide or cutting or, I mean, there's just so many things going on now that I'm like, why are you doing this? You know, we didn't have a lot of these things even when I was growing up. It's interesting. I just thought about that though. Even with like cutting, I would do things like I'd pinch myself. So that's interesting. It literally just snapped in my head. I remember I was like, did I hurt myself? And I was like, yeah, I pinched myself so hard because I just was so mad. And
the way to release feelings. And you know, the other thing that we didn't have, but we still both experienced bullying growing up, was we didn't have the internet. And so that is the difference now. We do have cyberbullying that is such a big piece in what happens to people, and we can't always know who is bullying us.
And group text.
Yes.
And, you know, like
Instagram, Snapchat, you know, if you have your accounts, people can go on there and make comments. And it goes into the abyss, as I said, doesn't come back.
Yeah, it's definitely amplified from when we were there.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I think that the experience, although they're very different, the pain is the same, right? Like
exactly. Not to take away from anyone's pain. It's still awful.
Yeah. No matter how you experience it, you know, the pain is still the same. Pain is pain, right? And our perceptions of it are different. But yeah, it's interesting. And that's why I think that your work is so powerful on this planet. And I'm so grateful that you have stepped into this space and owned it, because, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine that's in business as well, EliseHughes.com. She does all self-love, and God, I just love her. And she said to me the other day, she said, Heather, how many people have a hard time? Because I was really hard on myself. Like, I should be doing this and I should be on this stage and I should be doing that. And I was really hard on myself and beating myself up, bullying myself. Right. Mm-hmm. And she had this moment, she looked at it, she said, listen, she said, how many people will not get up on stage and speak? How many people will do a live broadcast? How many people will do a video workshop and put it out for the world to see?
That's right.
So it's really, we do it to ourselves too. So all of your tools and steps can actually translate for self as well.
Yes, they absolutely can. And I encourage people to try using them as well.
And that might be also an empathetic kind of empowering moment for your kid to say, you know what, let's work on this together, because I feel bullied at work. I feel bullied. I feel like I bully myself into being a better person when I'm a really great person. Bringing it into that space for us too, that this is not just your journey and your pain. This is my journey too. And we're going to work together through this and really make some magic. And I think that that's the gift of your program, is that it's a co-creation. They're working together to really be in that space together.
It's a support. It's a supportive system that's open and I think hopefully loving and kind, as a way to really address a really serious, scary issue.
Yeah. It's changing the world, Danielle. I know what you are doing. We are going to be talking a few months from now, and you're going to be like on the Today Show and all over the world. And I'm going to be like, I know her. Because this work is powerful. And
thank you very much.
Lives, and not just our lives, millions of lives. because again, we can ripple out and literally shift bullying from not from an anti-bullying space, pushing against it, but from a pro-empowerment space of, I'm going to let my light shine, and I'm going to inspire you to let your light shine too. So that, because we all know that bullies are not the most empowered children or people.
No, absolutely. And we really want to open up the space for that to happen so they don't become adults who have a poor self-esteem because they've been bullied so harsh as a kid. We want to give them the tools so they don't grow up to be adults who still hold on to so much of what you and I luckily, we experienced, but we were able to get some help and talk about things.
Yeah. And again, we'll inspire the bullies to maybe join us in this light. It's not so fun all the time to just make fun of people.
Yeah.
We had to let go of a friend of ours because every time we went out to dinner, they'd make fun of the person in the booth or make fun of the person behind us or make fun of the person in line at the comedy show. And I had this moment and I said to him, I can't participate in this. I was bullied all my life. It feels awful. Mm-hmm. And I chose very young to not do this to other people. And I know better about you. You are an amazing person. And he's an amazing person. And I know that you are doing this for other reasons than what it really looks like. Mm-hmm. And I love you. And I can't be with you in this space. So if you want to stop the name calling and bullying for other people, I'm happy to join you because I love you. And if not, I'm happy to love you over here. And that's the truth. And I love him dearly. But I will not participate in that. It's a big no for me. So, we're giving that space to have the bullies also reevaluate themselves and join us. So, yay! I'm so excited. All right. Tell everybody real quick. We have about a minute left. Tell everybody how they can find you and where you're at.
So you can find me on my website, which is www.empowerment.space. My phone number is on there and all my information, including empathy and empowerment and engagement, the 3 E's, are in a blog post on my last page.
Awesome. And you are accepting clients right now. I know you take insurance and do sliding scale to support people. So you can find all that information online. If you're experiencing bullying or your child's experiencing bullying in their space and you need some help, more support than that which YouTube can offer, you're there. And I don't recommend a lot of people on this planet, but I recommend Danielle because she is just magical and beautiful and spreading light and love on this planet. So if you need more from Wise Inside, you can always find us at wiseinside.com. I'm there to support you and help you and bring you back to love and remind you that wisdom is always within us, that we have that wisdom within us, and circle back to it so we can experience love for ourselves, our children, and each other. Thank you all so much for joining us. We love you so much and have a beautiful day. Mwah. Bye.
Bye.